There's a picture you want to see of my brother, co-founder of Troll Lord Games, Davis, who his face is all banged up and whatnot. That comes from 2004, 2005. He and Mark Sandy were on the road hitting conventions every 2 weeks or so. They were at a convention, I believe, in Memphis, Tennessee, Mid-South Con, I think is what it's called. So they're at a hotel. They're probably imbibing a little bit. I know they are. They're out in the parking lot. Smoke break, be my guess. I wasn't there. I'm getting this story secondhand. So anyway, so there's a fence, like a 12-foot high fence with 4 strands of barbed wire, kind of in that Y shape that you see, you know, the barbed wire running up the length of it. And Davis thought that he needed to get to the gas station on the other side of that, and instead of going around, he would go over. So he goes up the fence and gets tangled into the barbed wire. He's all messed up in the barbed wire. He crawls over the barbed wire. It does his leg a really good number as he falls forward into the enclosure with his foot and boot hung up in the barbed wire. He slams and hits his face into the fence and then slides down on the inside of the enclosure slowly as the barbed wire gives way or his pants tear or whatever, and he smashes into the ground and busts up his face. That Monday morning when they got back Sunday, that Monday morning he came walking into the office and I saw his face was all mangled. He's limping real bad. His hips hurt. His ankle's all wrapped up. It's bleeding still just a little bit. Had blood on the bandage, probably blood from the evening before. But I immediately did the appropriate thing and snapped a picture of it. So that's the story of Davis's torn up face, 2003, 2004. Story time. There's a picture you want to see of my brother, co-founder of Troll Lord Games, Davis, who his face is all banged up and whatnot. That comes from 2004, 2005. He and Mark Sandy were on the road hitting conventions every 2 weeks or so. They were at a convention, I believe, in Memphis, Tennessee, Mid-South Con, I think is what it's called. So they're at a hotel. They're probably imbibing a little bit. I know they are. They're out in the parking lot. Smoke break, be my guess.
Troll Lord Games. Join the fray.
Am I live?
Yeah, you're live.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I was using the stream to monitor it, and the stream's like, at least on my computer, was like 3 minutes behind or something. I'm like, what the hell? Anyway.
Yeah, there you go. It is.
Behold!
Indeed. Hello, everybody. It is September 10th, 2024. This is Tuesday or something. This is Ask Me Anything. I'm CEO of Troll Lord Games. I'm a little bit mentally battered. I spent about 2 hours in a legal contract this morning and then an hour with the contract and an hour talking to a lawyer going over clause by clause by clause. Oh, there you go. And this afternoon, I've been entering in the page numbers in the spell chart in the player's handbook after I finalize what page the spells are actually going to appear on. I've gotten the cleric done and the druid done, and it's tedious. Is that the word I'm looking for? Tedious might be the word I'm looking for.
Tyler's got it right. Law and Order RPG.
Yeah, no kidding. It's enough, man. And I'm glad he found some things. This is a license agreement. He found a good 10 things in there that needed clarified or changed. So I'm glad that I did it. But oh my sweet Lord, have mercy. I don't know what is worse, going over a legal contract for 2 hours or entering page numbers in a spell chart. I don't rather know.
Oh my God! When you told me that, I was like, that poor bastard. I'm leaving him alone.
Yeah. Well, Barsuk, I'm not sure how much I can talk about it, but there is a TV show being shot next week, and they're going to use Castles and Crusades. Presumably, they're going to use Castles and Crusades as the game that they're playing in this. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm actually supposed to be in it. We'll see if it all works out. We've been kind of holding off to say much because It's in the works, and we'll see. Good stuff all the way around. How's it going, King Magluke? Glad you could join us again. How's it going? You had a question that I thought was a very good question. How does CNC handle at high levels? When did you last run a campaign of level 12 plus? So that's actually a fantastic question. I've been running 2 games, both my Thursday game and Sunday game, both of which are a little bit on hiatus. We haven't played in over a month, either one of them. And both of them are high-level games. And all I will say, CNC, the Siege engine holds up beautifully. Obviously, you have to make things a little bit more difficult as the levels go up. But the only kind of thing that I've run into, the 2 things that I've run into, and I ran into this in AD&D. I can't speak for any other role-playing game. But the amount of damage, number one, number one would be the armor class. Once they start hitting about 15th level, there's nothing in the monsters and treasure aside from the dragons that can withstand getting hit, because everything's AC, and it caps out at like 22, 23 or something like that. And a 15th level fighter with a +3 strength and a +3 blades got a +20 to hit, +21. So he's going to hit almost every single time. And the other combat-oriented classes aren't far behind that. So there's a lot of your monsters are going to get hit a lot. My first reaction to that was to start maximizing their hit points, just to give them more hit points so they could sustain it more, sustain the hits more. Also, the monsters and treasures have aired. I very intentionally created a lot of monsters that had very high armor class, a 30 and 32, and the Codex Infernum. Currently, the Tome of the Unclean, which I think we got about a dozen left of that. Some of those demons and devils have some very high armor classes. So that alleviated that a little bit, but not entirely. I began to use damage reduction too. But the other thing I found out, the second thing I found out, is when these characters are hitting, since 3 or 4 of them are hitting each melee round, and they're all doing 12 to 15 points of damage or whatever it is, they are annihilating, like a fire giant gets wiped out in 2 melee rounds. They're doing so much damage. So the damage reduction, I started putting a lot of magic items in there that did damage reduction to kind of curb that back and whatnot. And a lot of this is layover stuff from the early design of Castles and Crusades. It really wasn't back in Davis, didn't design it to go beyond 13th level. They kind of felt you get to 13th level, start a new game. But it works very, very well. You do have to do a little bit of tweaking. But again, it's this exact same issue I ran into with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I remember very distinctly, I created a monster that had 305 hit points. And Matt cast, he's playing Aristobulus, and he cast Time Stop. And then he fireballed him, lightning bolted, the Blade Blast, magic missile, another fireball, whatever. He did 301 points of damage inside of 1 melee round. So when I came out of the Time Stop, Todd's character, Luther, hit me for like 6 points of damage and killed me. it was a 1 melee round, wiped out instantaneously. It was rather fun. That's what I thought, Steve. Really, it's about adjusting the range of challenge levels. Yeah, you really got to ratchet up the CLs on things, and then just make sure it's challenging. The cliff that they're climbing is exceedingly difficult, or whatever it is. But adjust to ACs, more hit points, damage reduction. These are the things I've done to kind of dodge that mess. Chuck, do we have a question? And thank you for the Dr. Pepper, Sparky, and crew. I can't hear you. You are muted.
Yeah, I won't say what I was thinking about myself. Let's see. Art Claude Bruce says, CNC in space, sci-fi exists or plans to do a rule set for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Amazing Adventures is at the printers now. We're waiting for the die for the actual leathers. And once that's dyed, the Amazing Adventures is going to land in our warehouse, which should be next week, maybe later this week. I doubt it. It's already Tuesday. Once Amazing Adventures gets out the door to the backers that need to go to a campaign, which will be in the next week or so, we will. Jason, he has to finish Exaltum, and then Star Siege is number 1 on his target list. So you will see a science fiction version of the Siege engine coming out with a little bit of luck before Christmas. His interior date is to get Exalted to me by the end of October, and then on to Star Siege. And the nice thing about Star Siege is done, except it needs to be updated to the cleansed version, the OGL cleansed version. And Amazing Adventures doesn't have a lot of SRD in it to begin with, nor does Castles and Crusades. So we're anticipating it's not going to take a lot to get Star Siege put together. Chuck's grimacing all over the place because he's got some very definitive ideas about what he wants to do with Star Siege, and that's a conversation for another day. But right now, I've got to finish Star Siege on my desk. It's ready to go to the printers, other than being cleansed somewhat. So we will see how that plays out. What's the next question, Chuck?
Odd Man says, well, to get you out of law and into the game, I think you should make a learning CNC on Discord for us new to learn from and get over your system. I'm mainly a DM who wants to learn CNC and runs a DM. I'll see that you have many people running it many ways. That should be shown too. Then I can find my way onto CNC. I asked it since it's hard to find a game to learn this game. P.S. I love CNC. So, Odd Man, I got your message today on Discord, and I did a lot of thinking about it. I think what I'd like to do, we have a channel in there that you can ask questions in already, right? But I think what you want is someone to be able to sit down and kind of explain things, which makes complete sense. So what I'm thinking about doing is putting a channel in there where you can sign up for each month, and I'll run an intro game and teach people just different ways of running the game, from the ways that I've run it, the ways other people run it, the way Steve runs it, and kind of help people understand, get their head wrapped around the idea of how the Siege engine actually works versus being a straight up mechanical thing, right? So I think there's a lot of need for that besides just videos.
Yeah, one of the things Grace and I've talked about quite a bit, I know she's shot at least 2 of them, is very short 1 to 1.5 minute explanation videos of how, hey, this is the way the Siege engine works, this is the way this works. And we want to get a good dozen of those out, just so people can watch very quickly and see how it goes. And I don't know when we'll get them out. I think probably in the next few months. The nice thing is we don't really have any crowdfunding campaigns planned for the rest of the year. We're just wrapping up the 5 that we have, and we're making tremendous progress on all of them. Which is freeing us up one by one to do some of this stuff that we need to do, whether it's website updates, which we've done a huge number of website updates and improvements, and to getting some of these videos out. Grace has been working on a video all day today. So there's all kinds of stuff that we'd like to do, and that definitely is in the wheelhouse. Yeah, we're taking a break.
King Maglut says, follow-up question. What are your tips and tricks regarding high-level spells as a player or a CK?
So I'm pretty loose with spells. I give the player a lot of latitude to let the spells do more than perhaps is in the description, because once you've used some of these spells 40 or 50 times, they're kind of a little bit dull, a little bit, overused somewhat. So I'm pretty lenient. On the other hand, sometimes it doesn't do what they want it to do. But just to make certain that your monsters are going to have a decent chance to save from the CK's perspective, because the CL on an 18th level wizard or a 15th level wizard is going to be 15 out the gate, and if you've got a fire giant, chances are it's going to misfire it, or it's going to fail its save and get obliterated. So try to beef up your monsters a little bit as these creatures get higher and higher level. It's one of the things that we're high level broke down for AD&D for me, and it doesn't break down for CNC, but it gets harder and harder to run because you've got to do so much prep. And I don't. That's probably the greatest failing I think I have as a CK is I don't do a lot of spellcasters fighting the spellcasters. And if you did, if you took the time to put that into your play, it would make it much more challenging. The few times I have done it, because then they have to react to high level spellcasters, and it's a very, very good thing. But I do give a lot of latitude for what the spell can do just to make it more interesting.
Okay, Darklight 689 had an interesting tag to that. It says, if the fans break down after level 12, how come high level play was moved to the PHB?
If the fans.
Yeah, I think maybe he's saying I think the ideal here is like around 12th level, there's no point in playing CNC. But I think that might be, it's definitely evident in other games, but I'm not so sure about ours so much. But.
So the deal is this: when the game was originally designed, like I said, it was really just designed to go to the 13th level. Well, after about 5 or 6 years, 7, 8 years, whatever it was, I'm not sure when the Adventures Backpack came out. About 10 years. I think 2015 is when that book came out. We had, and my game had gone beyond 13th level. I was already at 16th and 17th level in the game that I was running. And so many other people were saying, look, we're already high level and we need high level abilities. So no matter what the intent of Mac and Davis were, both Mac and Davis were high level. I was running them in a high level game. All of us, out there and in here, and everybody was doing it. So it became just necessary to make these high level abilities for the classes. So I did so, put them in the Adventurer's Backpack or CKG. I can't remember where it was first. It was somewhere. I think CKG. It was a CKG. That's what
it was CKG. Yep.
Yeah, and so the idea there was to differentiate between the original design and these are kind of optional things. However, when we did the 8th printing, I think it was clear that stuff didn't go in the CKG, it went in the PHP. But that's why you see in the player's handbook 2 very distinctive layout sections. You have your first goes to 1st through 13th level, and then your abilities, and then your next goes to 13th, 24th, or whatever it is, 14th, 24th, and that reflects those people who don't want to break the idea of the original game and just run it 13th and start over. And you've got a definite dividing line between what was the original intent and what we added to it just for play. So that's really why we did it. We tried to have our cake and eat it too. For all of you all and for my game and all of that crap. But now we got to do the Adventurer's Backpack here.
Oh, I was going to tell you, Steve. So on my tables right now, out of about 18 players, 14 of them are ABP characters. Okay.
Or what? Oh yeah.
Yeah, and half of those are all above 14th level. I've been making my own crap, man. It's been crazy. But they've been good about it. They've let us try it, and if it doesn't work, we fix it, right? They're all good. Yeah. I told them we'll play test it, so they're all about trying to help me find a way to break it or not,
The nice thing about the Adventurer's Backpack, there's going to be a lot of changes in the next printing of the Adventurer's Backpack. I've got a whole lot of stuff that I want to put in there, a whole bunch of notes and things for players, because it really is designed to be a player's book. And it will definitely have all of the 13 classes. And I moved it about a month ago. I moved it from I can't remember offhand what my 3 categories of CNC products are. Let's see, it's active, concept, and published files, and it moved from the concepts to the active, which means it's somewhere around in my noodle place that people need to start working on this thing. So very, very soon.
Okay.
Let's see.
Let's see.
That's very cool, Orlando. That's my favorite levels is 3rd to 7th levels, and my absolute favorite.
Yeah. I think that mid, 6th, 7th level is 8th, even 8th. It's just so sweet, and you're just really getting those wild spells.
Mac is not wrong in that at 13th level, the 13th, 14th, and beyond, the game takes on a different. And it doesn't matter which game you're playing; it takes on a different feel to it. It becomes like it leaves the Conan milieu and goes into Michael Moorcock's Elric type stuff because really the things that you're doing are epic. And I even quit giving experience points for orcs and goblins, and then get that crap. You've killed so many at that point. Just stop. You've got nothing else to learn there. So it does take on a whole different kind of idea. And when I run a high level, I try to shift my thinking. I've read a lot of Michael Moorcock stuff. The Eternal Champion, Elric, Corm is my favorite, especially Corm. I try to think. I shift my gear into like a Corm book or a Michael Moorcock book reads. When you read about Elric going on whatever quest he's on, it's not Tolkien. It's not day to day to day. It's he goes from the Sea of Fate to the Land of Broken Ice to the whatever. There's no explanation in the middle, and that's okay at high level.
Yeah. So Crash Monkey says, "What is this week's Amazing Adventure update?"
So Amazing Adventures, the screens have been approved at the printers. Well, let me say it's all uploaded, and I paid for it. So I didn't hear back from them that they got it. So there's always a gray area. So the screens are at the printers, which is very nice. That'll be off hopefully to us in a couple of weeks by the time the books arrive. And like I said earlier, the dye, we're just waiting for the dye to do the final die cut on the stain of the leather for the leathers. Other than that, the 2 books are ready to print, are ready to ship to us. And we've got, I want to say, let me open my little chart. I want to say everything's got all the art done. It might be, there's one we need. Oh yeah, we are waiting for a picture of FDR's Oval Office and I think some kind of Cthulhu monster for for Rings of the Red God, and then those are all. Then we're done. We're done. It's really just getting them printed and rolled out and in everybody's hands.
I can't wait for it to happen either. Let's see.
The covers on Amazing Adventures are amazing. The interior looks fantastic. It's just gonna be good. It's time to get it out. I'm very excited.
Let me ask you a question. This is more for me than him. I just can't remember. We're looking at doing a Monstorium or whatever sometime late next year, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought so. I just couldn't remember. Let's see. Sparky says, not a question, but Comic-Con was interesting. Underwhelming amount of gaming, though. Underwhelming amount of gaming. But I got a considerable amount of recognition for my CNC shirt.
Nice.
Sparky, funny enough, I drove down over the weekend and met Hoyt, our envoy that does all the Southern cons. He was on his anniversary up this way at Pigeon Forge, and he was, we were talking, and he showed me some pictures. He'd ran a game at Dragon Con. He ran 4 or 5 games at Dragon Con. They were all sold out. And the first game he ran, when he walked up, the people were like, "Oh, this guy's serious. He's got the shirt." And then they all sat down and they got real quiet. He was like, "What?" So the power of the shirt. Yes.
So Sparky's comment, then I went on a pilgrimage to Vino's, birthplace of TLG.
Nice.
My stepdaughter was shocked by a dirty drawing of an alien at a table. That does not surprise me. Vino's is a fantastic. If you ever in Little Rock, go to Vino's. Their pizza is absolutely fantastic. Sparky, you should have shot me an email. I would have tried to meet you down. I don't know what I was doing this weekend. Something. I don't know. I have no idea what I was doing. Fixing something. I remember that. It's in the attic for a while. I have no idea.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Shout out to Rip Tab Adventures for the Foundry. Yeah, the Foundry stuff's coming along quick. Dan is blazing through that PHB like I ain't never seen nobody before.
I barely check it during the week, Sparky. So
what would he say?
Checking it on the weekends is pretty low.
Check email on the weekends.
Even at Elric levels of shenanigans, cleaving through whole armies by yourself is pretty nice. Yeah, it really does get that way. And it can get, you can feel it at high level because really, the way the game's built, unless you allow natural 20s to have an automatic hit, which I do not,
right.
An orc cannot hit someone with a negative, with a 21, 22 armor class, 23 armor class, whatever it is.
Right.
And then you can just kill them all day. But I do damage from fighting too many people. Exhaustion damage.
Oh, that's not bad. I don't ever think about that, actually. Well, I can see it, though, getting overwhelmed and whatnot, right?
That's what it was. I was going to put exhaustion rules in the Castle Keeper's Guide.
Oh, yeah, we don't have them in there. That's right.
But they are in there.
Are they?
They're called endurance. So,
I remember you saying that now. That's right, the other day.
So, it was the word exhaustion that I looked up. So I need to put that in the index of the CKG and direct everyone to the endurance rules. All right. Takes me months to get back to where I was, but I will eventually get there. Amazing Adventures in the next few weeks. Victorious Chris. I don't know. I got to talk to Mike, and Mike is elbow deep in Castle Zaggy right now. So I know Vicky is not on his mind. In fact, I got an email from him I need to answer. So,
King McGlit asks, when is Steve going to write a game where the PCs are aliens?
Oh, there you go.
Well,
I am deep.
Listen,
I'm deep in that alien stuff now. I can't get out.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. I wasn't going to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there since everybody's here watching. All right. I think that on down the road, not now, but maybe in a couple of years, we should have an Amazing Adventures Stephen Chenault alien adventure.
I think it'd be very cool. I haven't written anything. I've talked to Jason about it ad nauseum, trying to get what he's created already for AA for the Greys and the UFO scares of the 1950s and 1970s, and what he's done actually for all of this stuff, so that I don't trample on his toes. And he's done nothing. He's really gone in other directions with his. He's gone into kind of the occult and whatnot with his adventures. So I've got, and I put a teaser. So in the Amazing Adventures material coming out in the next few weeks, what is mine called? The Ruins of Innsmeat.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I took Innsmeat from the World of Air because there's a ring of brass. There's a couple of these things going on. And I put it in Earth. It's in Arkansas, in modern day Earth. So, and actually, our good
did
friend
not know
Rick.
that.
Did you not? Yeah,
I didn't know the Arkansas part. I did not know that.
Yeah, Rick Montel is actually in there. Good Tyler is one of the characters in there. He and Shane. There's an old chieftain motorcycle
Oh
abandoned
wow.
in a barn behind one of the ruined inns. I think it's called the butcher shop. And in the saddlebags of that of the motorcycle, you will find some orders from the army. It was written in 1947. That's all I'm going to say. So the ruins of ends meet begins to play with some ideas that I have that I'm hoping now with the code on board and things are beginning to lighten up as we wrap up some of these projects. I can get back to the designing and writing table, because if I have to keep talking to lawyers and going over this stuff, I'm gonna go water my grass.
You're kidding. I don't blame you.
Oh yeah, you're very old in there, Tyler. You're like 70 or something like that. I can't remember.
Old man Tyler.
It's called the ruins of Innsmeet.
That's the next question up. Actually, we're cut up in the queue.
Oh, I was about to suggest that, but Chuck beat me to it. An amazing adventure setting in the early 60s with FBI agents and PCs, X-Files style. See, I like all of that, but I'm not going to put it in the 60s. I want it to be in the modern world. I love the idea that when you watch the X-Files, when it came out in the 90s, it's taking place in the 90s. One of the hard things about Blue Book, is it Blue Book, that TV show, Operation Blue Book or whatever it was really good, but it took place in the 50s. So it was harder to kind of step back and step into it. But I think something modern in the modern world where you get to see, whatever, and then go from there. I've placed a few things, a couple of Easter eggs and whatnot. But
what time? What setting are you saying? When you did say modern? Are we talking present day or 80s?
Present day, 2024, Arkansas. Going to this, it begins in this small town, and you go from there. And I will use real highway numbers, road signs, towns.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make up stuff. It'll be addresses that. So I put something in Cairo, Illinois. I went to the mapping program, whatever, Bing Maps, and I zoomed in. It's 1210 Commerce Street or Commercial Street, I think, is where something is.
What is there is something there, because I know that. I know Cairo.
So what you're thinking of, Chuck, is I had an adventure in Cairo, Illinois, long, long ago. I had heard through the grapevine in the early 2000s that Dave Trampier of Dragon Magazine fame and Wormy fame was living and driving a taxi cab.
That's right. I remember now.
Yes, and I was going to a convention in Pennsylvania, and I pulled off and into Cairo to look to see if I could find the elusive Dave Trampier, because he had been missing since the early 90s. And I drove all over Cairo, had lunch there, talked to a few people. The cab company was closed. But as I was leaving town, and it's a really abandoned town at this point, it was booming up until just 5 or 6 decades ago. Rivertown, lots of commerce, a little bit of factories. But as I was leaving town on one of those, I think it was on Commercial Street, there was this picture that was so definitely this kind of postcard poster board. This so definitely Dave Trampier in a window of this old flea market. It was all boarded up, locked up, and covered in dust. I wish I had taken a picture. I didn't have a camera with me or anything like that. This is pre-cell phone crap. Well, me having a cell phone. But that was definitely the first notice that I had Dave Trampier.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you were like, oh, there.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I later found him in Carbondale and communicated with a little bit, but that's probably where you're remembering Cairo from. Cairo. Is it Cairo? Is that how you say it? Cairo or Cairo? Cairo, as the locals say. All right, Cairo, Illinois. There you go.
Oh,
I'd say it's a cool little town.
Will Martinez from over on YouTube says an XCOM style game. Bring it on. Yeah, XCOM would be cool. Are you familiar with XCOM, Steve? You know what that is?
No, what is XCOM?
It's a video game that's been around for many, many, many years. The second one's been out for probably 10. But anyway, the whole idea is that basically aliens are running the government. Just to give you a real quick one. But in the video game, you actually start encountering them because you kind of part of the rebel resistance or whatever, right?
Right.
It's really cool. It's good stuff.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm working on and reading all of this alien literature, this whatever UFO literature, whatever it is I'm reading. The stuff is very fascinating, and it's, whether you believe it or not, it's an entirely different conversation. And we are going to start a show soon where we talk UFOs and aerial phenomena and all that crap. But
how they live.
Just cool. This stuff is just absolutely filled with adventures, ideas, and adventure hooks, and just
Neil.
cool, crazy. Like for instance, I never really understood how the ufologists tied in the cattle mutilations to all of this. What was this doing? Well, the theory has been thrown out, at least to me. I've been exposed to the theory that the alien human hybrids were put inside cows to gestate, and they had to go cut them out later to raise the hybrids. So it's this really cool concept. But what I haven't actually done for the amazing adventures and the adventure side of this stuff is kind of figured out where I want the why are the UFOs, why are the aliens, the grays, why are they coming to Earth? What's the point? Is it to colonize? Is it to observe? Is it to are they already here and they're controlling the government like the XCOM? I don't know. I want it to be interesting and unique and a little bit different.
Right.
So that's one of the.
Yeah, you don't want to give it like first thing in my mind would be something about resources, but that's too boring. That's too cliche. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It needs to be something really cool, like maybe a mothership that's buried in the planet or something wild that you would never think of.
The X-Files, I think, did it brilliantly, except they started to go a little bit off the rails somewhere around season 6 or 7. It started to not make a lot of sense. And so you really have to kind of do like I did Air and start the history of it way before today so that you know why they were doing this in the 1950s and the 1890s, because there was an outbreak in the 1890s of sightings in the United States of cigar-shaped things in the air. Why were they here? What are they doing? We gotta kind of map all this out. Obviously, Covenant and Prometheus tried kind of the same thing, but they also, I felt, kind of went a little bit off the rails.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all really, really cool stuff. And as I'm reading it, I can't help but think this is amazing adventures just written all over. How's it going, Agile Monk? Glad you could join us. Yeah, it's just good stuff. If you can cross interstellar space, you don't need Earth's resources. So that's part of the conversation there. Where do they come from? Is it interstellar? Do they come from? We've got 2 moons now that we know. I think one's around Uranus and one's around Saturn they're frozen over and have oceans underneath, and we know now that they have oceans. I strongly suspect that we will find life in our solar system outside of the Earth within the next century or so. I mean, I would be really surprised if there wasn't microbial life already.
I mean, if there's water on the planet, it's probably going to happen, man.
Yeah, honestly. That's the thing. And I mean, we know that the Earth at one point was covered in ice, and there was still life beneath the ice. We know that there's life beneath the Antarctic and the Arctic ice. So the idea that these petri dishes of moons spinning around Saturn for the past 4 billion years haven't actually done something is a bit of a far stretch for me. So where do these grays come from? Maybe they come from one of these moons. Who knows?
It could be. I mean, it could be something like The Expanse. That happened in our solar system. So.
Yeah, see, I thought The Expanse was fantastic. I need to watch that last season of that.
Oh yeah, I want more. I can't because I want more of it. I was really hooked on it, so it was good.
Yeah, King Maglu's right. They found these stones on Mars just like 2 weeks ago that they think can only be made by microbial life. So there's a good chance, because we know that Mars had a ton of water on it, right? And a lot of it has seeped down into the soil. We at first thought that it floated off into space, but it looks like a mountain of it is actually in the soil. You could do, what do they call it, fracking here on the States to get oil. You can still do that. You could probably do that on Mars and get water out of the subsurface. I don't know. It's very, very, the water moon Europa definitely has life. Yeah, there's another one. I think it's around Uranus. It's Elaine or something. Wait, I know. I sent it to Wilson the other day.
Mars is our ancient homeland. Ben Adams said, he said aliens are just mutated humans from the future trying to stop the species from dying.
Well, that's another theory, right? Too, that they time travel back, and they're trying to learn where they came from. There's all kinds of things. So the other moon is Ariel, Ariel, which has got apparently a giant ocean. Whatever. It's just crazy. I was impressed by you reading all that was written. The only one doing this on Twitch. It is hard, but you did, and I understand why you can't continue that. Which was I reading? Odd one. Did I miss the first part of that? Because I've been reading a lot of aliens.
He's talking about as far as like The question we had earlier, we was wondering why we changed what we did earlier.
Oh, in the player's handbook.
Actually, I misplaced that. I don't know either. Oh man, all that we did right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been a lot, much more pleasurable than the contract that I read earlier today.
Oh God, I can imagine.
I've been backing some of the UFO lore into the backstreet of my science I've been trying to draw Roswell, MJ13, other incidents into semi-realistic Chinese spins. Yeah, I love that stuff. I absolutely love all of it. I'm reading a book on Roswell right now that clearly most of it's made up. It's just flat made up or misconstrued or whatever. But it's still fascinating stuff. It's just really, really, really fascinating stuff. Grays were created by Steven Spielberg. From the movie, is that? Well, no, that couldn't be from the movie because they're talking about the Greys even in the 1950s. So when they first,
yeah, somebody in chat earlier said that they thought Spielberg had the rights to the Greys, but I think that's been around long before him.
yeah. I can't remember when the first. But even in this book that I just finished, which was written by one of the officers who ran Project Blue Book, he's talking about the aliens and there's pictures of them. I can't remember when. I can't remember when they start popping up or why they start popping up, and why they look like they do. It's all very interesting. The book I wanted to recommend before doing it is The Dagger and the Coin series, Path of the Dragon, in the first book of Arsuka. I may have to check that out. Is that fantasy? I take it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Sparky. I think it goes way back into the 50s. I'm pretty sure it does. My dex is a prime, and I'm rolling to make a tower out of mashed potatoes. That's the way to do it. Oh. I don't know. It's all fascinating stuff, and it ties into Amazing Adventures so beautifully. It's absolutely crazy. It's just how to make it interesting. I mean, when you're watching the first 5-6 seasons of the X-Files, really all of them, but the first 5-6, you're like, what's going on? This is so cool. As you're trying to kind of decipher what's going on. That movie, The Expanse, not The Expanse, The Vast of Night, same thing. You're trying to watch it going, I don't know what's going on here. This is just cool. Same thing with the movie I watched a few months ago, No One's Coming to Help You, I think is the name of it. And it's the one where the main actress doesn't say a word for the entire movie.
Really?
The whole movie. Oh, yeah, it's a fantastic
I would drive
movie.
Stephanie up a wall. I got to put that down.
She does not say anything.
What is it called again? So, they're not coming to help you? What is it?
No One's Coming to Help You. Let me look it up real quick.
That sounds familiar.
Let's see. No One Will Save You. It's on Hulu, I think. I don't know where I watched it, but I will put that here in the chat.
Cool.
We've talked a lot about it. It is one of the coolest movies I've seen because there's no one talks. I think a couple of the side characters talk, but it's just really, really good. Does Arkansas have any specific regional cryptids? We do, Savage. I'd have to think about that. There's one up in northwest Arkansas. Of course, we see Bigfoot every now and again, and then there's a couple in the south. I think I'd have to. There's this lady on TikTok I follow that does the White River Monster, who does all of these kind of weird Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few. I can't remember. I don't. It's my greatest failing. I think is I love the state of Arkansas. I absolutely love it here. And other than New Mexico, I'll probably never live anywhere else. But I don't know a lot about the local lore and all of that. I've read some of the histories on the Civil War in Arkansas about it. I think there's actually supposed to be an alien spaceship crash just across the border in the boot of Missouri. Is that, Tyler, isn't there an alien crash site up in the boot of Missouri, somewhere up in there? Question, Steve, when I'm going to get the details on Prince Innocent III vampire related to Sagramore somehow. Man, you got to email me. I can't talk about that in public.
He sent you a message because you told him he messaged you in Discord.
Okay, I haven't been on Discord in a week.
No, he's terrible, folks. He's terrible. No.
I'm horrible on Discord. I'm opening up right now to see if I can find. I think we had this conversation last Tuesday, I believe.
He's waited a week, Steve. A whole week.
Yes. Okay. Venris, is that you? I see a direct message from Venris.
I think it's Air Mile.
I see Sparky sent me a message. Sparky's being a jackass.
Yeah, probably. Hey, Agile, you'll have to PM that to me. Actually, because the links are you can't post links in here without because we got to protect it or whatever because of kids.
Yeah, just shoot me a text over there, and I'll tackle it. I don't want to answer that publicly, and we've absolutely got to get an aired Twitch stream running.
Yep,
we're really to the point. We're to the point now that we've got one more pass to do on the Hermit, and we're wrapping up stuff on the 3 cores. We're at the point that we can start looking at doing other stuff as the.
I honestly think, yeah, the latter part of this year and the first part of next year is just going to be a wonderful time.
I really do. I'm super stoked on everything that's unfolded.
Couple things. I got some questions and a comment here. First off, Agile, thank you for the gift sub. That's real nice. Appreciate that, buddy. So Varsuk Danigato says, while you're asking about the Dagger and Coin series, he said it's awesome world building, and he also put some more stuff up there. You'll see he talks about for just a little bit there.
Dagger and Coin. Let me add that to my list. That sounds vaguely familiar.
Dagger
we talked about that before.
The Dagger and the Coin series. Path of the Dragon is the first book.
Is it modern fantasy or is it older fantasy? That sounds very familiar.
He says it focuses on combating a king-like character through dagger, arms, and coin economics. And it's like said 1 to 2 of the Expanse author. It usually appeared in the Kindle version of Leviathan Waking, or whatever the first Expanse book was. I discovered the entire first book included, then brought the Kindle Direct, and it came with it.
Okay, yeah, that's more modern stuff. I have not. I'll check that out. I have not. Actually, when I read that Songs from Drownlands the other day, it got me so fired up about fantasy that I wanted to go down. I didn't, but I wanted to go down and pick up some modern fantasy because I really haven't read any modern fantasy since Game of Thrones, which is sad. And that's the last fantasy I read.
I bought a lot of modern fantasy, and I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's the thing. Game of Thrones did not leave a. I don't want to spoil anyone's love.
I loved it. Oh, the books. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones is. I probably have never been more angry reading a series in my life. Well,
you have to approach it as non-Tolkien and as just an ideal, and then you're good.
Yeah, well, it was the fact that, and I don't want to make negative comments about things that people love. I really don't like to do that. But from my perspective, who wrote that stuff? J.R.R. Martin. And he's one of those people who doesn't see the good in anybody, and none of his characters. Any of his good characters, I very quickly realized that about the third book that I was reading, I realized that any of the characters that are good or have good traits or are in any way, shape, or form good people are going to get obliterated in the most brutal fashion. And those characters that are evil or are twisted or whatever are going to thrive and either get killed or they're going to change their story arc, whatever that's called. They evolve over the story arc or whatever it is. And I remember it was when the knight was fighting whoever in the arena, the knight from the south, who was a really great character. And I was reading, he's dead. I know he's dead. I know the way Martin has written for the last 600 pages. I know exactly what's going to happen. And then when he got killed in the arena, I was furious because he did it. And it just became very predictable. It was just very predictable. I wasn't smitten with the books.
So Alan Rowe asks,
I do not have a Kindle, nor do I read ebooks. I read. I try to only read hardcover books.
I've moved on. In my eyes, I
try to find them with older printings that have newsprint and stuff like that, just because it reads easy.
So Alan Rowe says, "Did you read my tongue-in-cheek take on the Aryans yet?" Alan Rowe.
Alan, no, I haven't. I have not yet. No, I meant to tell you too. I think I need you to resend that to me because I looked for it yesterday, and it wasn't in the inbox. So whatever you sent to me, or put it in that folder, that shared folder that we have. But I haven't read it yet. But I will get into it the next day or so. As soon as you get it back to me, I think I may have deleted it or something like that.
King McGloot says, "Do you have a favorite solution for the Fermi paradox?"
What is the Fermi paradox? That sounds very familiar.
It's when we were talking about aliens earlier.
Yes, there's something I heard that the other day. here we are. Is that the Fermi paradox is the discrepancy between the lack of conclusive evidence of advanced extraterrestrial life and the apparently high likelihood of its existence, as a 2015 article put it. If life is so easy, someone from somewhere must have come calling by now. That's the funny thing. They could have come calling. And the funny thing is, I hear all the time, why don't we have pictures? We do. Why don't we have videos? We do. We have all kinds of stuff that, but none of us believe that these, for whatever reasons, these Tic Tacs that the Air Force or the Navy put out, they're right there. But we're like, that's not them. So I think that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in defense of the human population on the planet, I have to think, and I think it's 100% guaranteed fact that the governments have attempted to keep a lot of that to appear either false or just hidden.
Yeah, I mean, there's that whole side of it. Now, here's something very interesting. So I just finished reading, I can't remember the title of it. I swear to God, my brain is just wasted away. But it's the book written by Captain Ruppelt, who was head of Operation Blue Book, or Project Blue Book, from 1952 to 1954. And he put three editions of this book out. I have the third, came out in 57. And he basically talks about all of the UFOs that they investigated, both from Project Sign, Grudge,
really,
whatever. Yeah, it's a very good book. It's densely written, very good. But at the end of it, he quite here, I'll look it up. He quite adamantly says there is no truth to any of it. There's no UFOs. They're just phenomena that we can't
explain. Right.
What's his name? Just phenomena that we can't explain. There's about 20% of the 15,000 cases they studied that they don't have any solution for. So they can't find it being a planet, a star, weather inversions, jets or whatever. So they don't know what it is. And his comment is so brilliantly written. His comment was, we applied the scientific method to each of these. And even though we came up with the conclusion of we don't know what this is, that could as easily mean that we don't have enough evidence to state that this is a type of weather pattern or part of a solar flare or whatever. And we just don't know.
So he's calling it like it is, basically. He's just basically saying.
Yeah, which I thought was very refreshing, that this guy who through his whole 250 pages is pretty much setting it up like, this stuff is, we don't know what this is. This is kind of believable. And at the end of the day, well, I don't really believe it. And then he goes on to say, and this is in 57, so we're just putting satellites up. And he says, we've got these new satellites watching everything. Nothing can get through. Nothing can get, And all of that makes sense. And that's where the Fermi paradox comes in. And I think that to explain the paradox is fairly easy for someone who's really deep into physics, is there's no really conceivable way for us to travel from point A to point B, because I think what is the closest? Is like 4 light years.
Alpha. I think it's Alpha Centauri. I think, isn't it? It's got the closest.
It's like 4 or 10 light years or something, which will take however many long it'll take us to get there. And I don't even. So a lot of people are able to 40 light years. A lot of people are able to say that there's no way we're ever going to meet anybody. By the time you see the light of Alpha Centauri, it's 40 light years old. How many?
40. That's it. 40. That's it. Yeah, he's right. 40.
Yeah. So there's a whole gobbledygook with it. But I think that my personal belief is that we aren't at the end of our discovering journey. I read a lot of history, and every generation has this idea that we've made it. We know everything. Our ancestors were idiots. People coming after us, they're going to live off of the fruits of our intelligence. That's just bullshit. What is that great? There's a great scene in Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they have this whole creationism versus evolution debate, and it's about a bowl of cereal that gets spilled on a dashboard. But the one presentation is science is a liar sometimes, because we discover new stuff all the time, and the idea that we have discovered everything about the universe is just, to me, it's just a silly. It's just so. And the idea that someone, both in our future and in other planets' futures, who may be a little bit further down the path than us, can't bend space or fold space or warp space or use wormholes or whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about physics, but the stutter warp, whatever it is, I think it's all very doable. So the distances, to me, I don't find them frightening. I don't find them, mind-numbing or whatever. I think they're surmountable with some form of something. But why haven't they come here? Maybe they have. I don't know.
maybe they're here right now. We don't know.
Chuck could be one right now.
We don't know. Whoa! Easy.
Chuck's always having sound issues. I don't know what's going on.
So, some interesting comments and questions here. Agile Monk says, basically, I'm going to translate it for you. Here's my weekly question of my favorite question. When will the non-OGL CNC licensing be done so I can produce the products I have for it?
I will say this, that after talking to the attorney today for about an hour or 45 minutes or whatever I did, and I was talking to my wife afterwards, and I said, because this is her attorney, first time I've worked with him, I said I really liked him, and I think it's time to get TOG's legal house in order. So you may have something coming for that sooner than I anticipated. Two weeks.
Let's see. Ben Adams Knight asks, "Oh, this is a really good question. If you do a sci-fi campaign, what FDL do you use?"
What FDL?
In other words, if you're doing first off, he doesn't run science fiction campaigns yet, but if he was going to run one, what would be your faster than light thing you think you would put in there? I have an answer, but I'll let you answer first. I want to see what you say.
I think that what I would probably do, I've only read, and again, I don't know shit about physics, but gravity has something to do with weight and density, and I think that I think being able to fold space using gravitational whatever is probably where I would land with that, where you kind of whatever this becomes and it folds the whole thing and you're able to kind of pass through. That's probably where I would
see. I settled with two ways, and one of them is a direct theft from the Expanse. Direct. So if I run something like Coriolis or whatever, Star Siege or whatever, there's gates. When you go through a gate, it's pretty instantaneous. Of course, that's something that's controlled. It may be expensive. Who knows? Whatever, right? And then faster than light travel, I just basically do it. It takes a little longer. You get there, but it's not years. But it may take maybe a few weeks, right? That way you've got that whole feeling of the long versus the short.
Yeah, time has passed. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I want to, before I make any kind of leap, I want to decide whether, and I want to talk to Jason Vey about it with Amazing Vision. I want to know where the grays come from. If the grays come from the moon Ariel, then it's really just a few months journey, right, from there to here. We don't really need to get into all of that. That's one of the things I love, even talking about the Expanse pre-season 4, whenever the gate opens. It's really cool. They got the people living on the asteroid belt, people living on Mars. It's fantastic. And there's a series by Piers Anthony that came out. I can't remember the name of it. We've colonized Jupiter, and there's these floating cities around Jupiter and whatnot.
You talking about Bio of a Space Tyrant?
Yes, Bio of a Space Tyrant. The first one was fantastic. The rest kind of go off the rails, but the idea that our future is going to be Star Trekian or Star Warsian, I think, is not really accurate. I think it's going to be much like it was when Europeans left the continent of Europe and landed in the United States, or America, whatever it was called by the natives at the time. And it's just this massive exploitation, mining, all of this stuff. I think when we go somewhere, we're going to go with a purpose. When we go to Mars, it's going to be a purpose to go there. It's going to be getting, obviously, as a biological species, we need food, we need water, we need space, we need all of these things to survive. Right. So we're going to, when we go to Mars, we go to the moon, there'll be very specific reasons for it. And it's not going to be to build some kind of utopian, whatever. Yeah. Well, and it's going to be like everything that humans build. You can go out to West Texas and you can see all of those mining dairies and just these sprawling pipes everywhere,
right.
All this stuff. And that's what we do, because that's how you extract resources from the ground. If we're going to have to extract water from the subsoil of Mars, it's not going to be some, little hand thing that you go, boop, beep, bop, 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 and the water comes out, like in Star Trek. Well, it's going to be pipes with drills, and they're going to need lubricants
and that's the thing about it. Expanding out even into the solar system, Earth is expected to handle all of that with its resources. See, that's the thing. It can't, probably, ultimately, right? So they have to have water. We have to have
the
air.
Whole thing is going to be, when you see, and I know everyone in this chat on Twitter and Facebook has seen clip of that dude. I don't know who he is, but he's on an oil rig out in the Gulf of Mexico, and the one pipe comes off. He's got no shirt on and a hard hat. He's covered in mud and oil, and he takes that chain and he throws it around the run pipe and he yanks it to the side. Another pipe comes in. He takes his huge iron grip thing and hooks it on it. If you've not seen it, I'll find it, put it up. Have you not seen it, Chuck?
No.
Oh my God! This is what the future of colonizing asteroids and Mars is going to be like.
And I think the Expanse caught that with the whole idea of having these whole separate faction of just the workers, the workers,
And that's what it's going to be. People.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah. The idea of it being like Star Wars or Star Trek would be something very, very far in the future. Because think about it for just a second. Unless we are at the very beginning of things, we're probably playing catch up to some other races, alien races out there, civilizations, right? And if they're already been out here doing all that, then at this point in time, we're probably going to have a visit versus us discovering what's the chances of us. Let's just say if we weren't like at the brand beginning of the multiverse, let's just say what's the chances that we're going to go out here and start exploring and we're going to find new places? No, they're going to be like, oh, you finally made it or whatever. It's not going to be,
So the one I posted there is kind of a light duty version of the one that I'm thinking of. But that's what the future is going to be. That's what people are going to. I mean, it's going to be hard, backbreaking work.
Yes,
that's absolutely. Why Alien. I think Aliens, that franchise does so well because they kind of capture that. Expanse did fantastic. They capture that feel.
It's that raw. It's like going out to it's like in the old days going out Western Expansion. That was not easy.
Yeah. It was not easy. It was very difficult. There's a movie with with Sean Connery, Moonbase something from the 70s. It did
really Saturn 7?
Yes, really.
Oh, Outland. Yeah.
Really, everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Outland is a perfect example of that. I mean, that's what it's going to be like. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough on those people who do it.
Yeah. Think about it. When we were just trying to go across the country, you break your leg, you're done. They're leaving you on the side of the road with some biscuits, man. You know what I mean?
You're out. That's the whole thing. Doing anything like that for anybody, no matter what, who you are, is tough. And when we start pushing out into the solar system to get more resources and to expand and all that, it's going to be tough.
I've then decided you need to go this week, make a point to sit down and rewatch that All for Mankind. Because I'm telling you, man, it literally gets into that a little bit later on. That's exactly what's going on. It's bad.
That's where we're headed, and that's what I would like to do with whatever I'm going to do with Amazing Amics. I should rope Steve into Game of Hostiles. He either dies on space rig or gets eaten by an alien. There you go.
It's good.
That's our future.
Good options.
Combat roll roads, boat, space travel. Yes. All right. I do think we got to start winding down. This has been an absolutely fantastic. We've absolutely got to do the UFO aerial phenomena stream. I mean, it's a done deal. We'll pick some time this week, and maybe later this week do the first one. Sparky, I will definitely do that. I'm actually waiting for an email from the licensed folks, so we will see. I will definitely keep an eye on that. And Armile, send me that Discord message, and I'll get you squared away with what's going on, with what craziness is going on. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's been another fantastic Tuesday stream. This is turning into my absolute favorite part of the week. So we will see you. I will be on the road next week, but we're going to endeavor to get me on deck at 4:30 anyways. And minimally, I think next week we'll do our first alien. Our first alien show, UFO show, whatever we're going to call it.
All right, then. So if that's it.
Time. Yes,
that's right. Cheeseburger time. All right, then. Yep. I'll be back in the morning. I'll be back in the morning for my show, and then we'll be back Thursday. I think that'll be good. All right, everybody have a good evening. Thank you so much, and have a good evening. Bye.
Take it easy, everybody.